Think about it. I'll give you an example. The woman, comma. Now, here in non-essential elements, we will always have punctuation marks. So, punctuation marks are required when we are dealing with non-essential supplements. Okay, so in essential supplement, I gave you a sentence. The movie that opens on Friday looks good. Here in this sentence, you won't be having any punctuation mark. You'll just be having the capitalization of the first letter in the beginning and a full stop at the end. But when we are dealing with the non-essential supplements, then after the subject and before the beginning of the clause, what you will always have a punctuation mark. So, for example, the woman got who won the championship last year couldn't play the match this time. Okay, so can you see this? The woman, comma, who won the championship last year, comma, couldn't play the match this time. So here you will always require commas in order to separate the non-essential supplement. And this is actually one more clue. So one clue is that you'll have punctuation mark, and the other clue is that you'll have conjunctions such as which, who, or when. And then you'll be easily able to identify the non-essential supplements. Okay, I'll give you more examples. You tell me that whether, see, I'll just read out the sentence and you will tell me whether there are essential supplements or there are non-essential supplements in the sentence. So you have to look at two clues. First one is punctuation marks and the other one is the word that or the word which, who, and when. Now, when I'm reading out the sentence, I won't be saying that I'll be read and I'll say comma, or I would read and I'll say, colon, or I will say exclamatory mark. You will come to know it the way I read. So you know, right? Why do we use a comma in the sentence? In order to have a pause. So this is why the punctuation marks are important, because they add emotions to the text. Okay, so the sentence is, the puppy that Sally adopted is cute. The puppy that Sally adopted is cute. What do you think? Does the sentence have essential or non-essential elements? You want me to write
Essential.
it down? Yes. The puppy that Sally adopted is cute. Okay, so here we have one indicator, that is the word that Sally adopted. Now, if we say that the puppy is cute, you won't be able to understand which puppy. So from the word that, we have the phrase that starts, and this is an essential supplement because we are speaking specifically about the puppy that Sally adopted. Okay, so this is a sentence that has essential supplement. You are right. Now let us move on to the next one. The sentence is, the UK, where the Harry Potter books takes place, is a is great to visit. So can you tell me?
Non-essential.
non-essential element. Okay, so this is the basic difference. While you look at the sentence in the examination, you will be, it's not difficult to identify. Now, I want you to learn about, see, I talked about the essential element. See, for example, there is an adjective clause. So I talked about the adjective phrase. Now, what is an adjective clause? So whenever there is, now if you look at this, this is where the Harry Potter books take place. This is an adverb clause of place. Okay? Because it is answering the question where. Now, something that answers the question what will come under the adjective clause. I'll give you an example. Huh? Can you read this sentence?
The girl whom I met last night is my sister's friend.
Yes. So here you have this. You know that this is actually from where the clause would begin. Okay, so I would just highlight this word. Now, do you think I should have a comma over here or not? What do you think, according to you? Do I need a comma over there?
No.
Why? Now, as you know that if we don't have a comma, like between the subject and the supplement, then this would be termed as an essential supplement, right? Because between we have commas and punctuation marks whenever we are dealing with non-essential supplements, right? Did you get it? Now, how do you come to know this is actually an essential supplement? The first clue is that you will not require comma. The other clue is that here we are specifically talking about the girl whom I met last night. Just remember, just try to eliminate that information. The girl is my sister's friend. This is not making any sense. This is actually making the sentence very much incomplete. It is making the sentence very much general. But we have to be specific to the girl whom I met last night. So here we don't have that. Do you see? The sentence is not like this. The girl that I met last night is my sister's friend. The sentence could have been like that. But this is actually grammatically correct. The girl whom I met last night is my sister's friend. So there are always possibilities, especially when we are dealing with the adjective clause. You might not have the word that. You might have some other word. Okay, we'll try one more possibility. Try this out now. Or try reading this. The last sentence. You can see the screen, right, Vinay?
Yeah.
Try reading the last sentence.
The girl I met last night is my sister's friend.
Yes, so now we don't actually have a conjunction over here, neither that nor whom. Okay? The girl I met last night is my sister's friend. So do you think this is grammatically correct?
No.
Why?
Because it's the first part is past tense, so the second part has to be past tense.
Okay. No, but I'm not talking about the tenses. We are now talking about the supplement. So you are talking about met and is. No. So here we are actually dealing with complex sentences. So this is, if we look at tense wise, this is correct. There is no issue with the tense. The girl I met last night is my sister's friend. Here we don't have any kind of conjunction, neither whom nor that. But still, we will not have a comma over here. Why? Because I met last night is an essential supplement. If I say that the girl I met last night is my sister's friend, this would be grammatically wrong. Okay. So, see, if you look at while if you look at a drama or a play happening in front of you, or if you watch movies, you will see that the actors they actually take unnecessary pauses while delivering the dialogue. But when we are actually into then have to be very careful with the punctuation. Okay, usually happens in movies, but if you look at plays, in plays, what they do, they use specific, they have a specific script that they stick to, and whatever punctuation marks are there in the script, they would be very particular to that. They would not add any kind of extra pauses anywhere. Okay, so let us move on further. Okay, so we will now look at some of the complex sentences. So yesterday I talked about complex sentences. What are complex sentences? They would have two or more verbs present in the same sentence. Okay, they are known as complex sentences. Okay, so I will give you an example. The sentences, if they want to win, they must practice every day. Okay, now here the first thing is that this is a conditional sentence because it starts with if. Okay, so the clause or the phrase in the sentence, this is the element. If they want to win, they must practice every day. This is an example of a complex sentence. Now, here, you tell me, will this be, what do you think? If I just delete this information, they must practice every day, then this would be the thing that would remain. Is that making any sense? No, right? If they want to win, They must practice every day. So in complex sentences, what actually happens? See, we were talking about the essential and the non-essential supplements. There, in essential supplements, we can't remove the information, but in the non-essential supplement, we can just remove the information, the additional information, but still the sentence would make sense. But when we are dealing with complex sentences, both the sentences that you have are interdependent on each other. Okay. So this sentence, the first half of the sentence is incomplete with the second half, without the second half, and vice versa. So you have to be very careful when there are complex sentences, because deleting, see, you can add anything, but deleting any part of the complex sentence would result into, making the sentence completely meaningless. Okay. Now I'll give you one more example. Can you read the sentence?
Tea that is sweet is the part of my evening caffeine routine.
Now, can you tell me, is this sentence grammatically right or wrong? Do we need to add any kind of punctuation mark, or do we need to change any word in the sentence? Okay, let us just try changing this word to caffeinated rather than sweet. Tea that is caffeinated is the part of my evening routine. Now, if you look at this sentence, this is, what is this?
It's essential.
Hmm. This is actually the supplement. Now we have to identify whether this is an essential or a non-essential supplement. Now the problem with this sentence is that this is a non-essential supplement. Okay. But here we are using the non-essential supplement with the conjunction that, and also without any punctuation mark. So this actually makes the sentence grammatically wrong. Now tea, as we all know, tea is caffeinated, right? So this is some kind of an additional information that is not really required. The sentence could have simply been that tea is the part of my evening routine, right? So what would be the right form of the sentence? Can you tell me? Just you just have to, the element that we have, the supplement that we have is non-essential. So now you have to apply all the rules that we had learned earlier in order to make this grammatically correct.
Tea is the part of my evening routine.
P, comma. Continue.
Is part of my evening routine.
No. See, you are just eliminating the non-essential element, which is completely right, because without the non-essential element too, the sentence will make sense completely. But we have to keep the non-essential element and make it grammatically correct. Do you understand what I mean? So I'll help you with One more word. Come on.
Tea, which is caffeinated, is the best part of my evening routine.
Yes. Perfect. Which is caffeinated. Will I have a comma again after caffeinated? Yes or no? The tea which is
Yeah,
caffeinated? Okay. Is the part of my evening routine. Now, the sentence is grammatically correct. Can you see the difference between the two sentences?
yeah.
Why did I remove the word sweet? Is because tea can be made without sugar too. Okay, so caffeinated is something because it is actually a fact. Tea is always caffeinated. Now, let us look at some kind of a um, some kind of punctuation marks. Now, whenever you are dealing with the supplements, you will have to look at only three types of punctuation marks. Okay. So the first one is the comma. The first one is the comma. Now, you might have learned this in your schooling years, maybe. What is a comma used for? Like, just, tell me everything you know about a comma. Why do we use a comma? Where do we need to use a comma? Why is it used for? Tell me.
Comma is it makes a pause in which in the sentence, and it's
Yes. So one uses that. Yes, it makes it if we require any kind of a pause, so we can have it with the comma. But do you know what is a semicolon?
it's
Semicolon, it also serves the same purpose of having a pause in the sentence. Okay. So tell me something more about the comma that is unique to it. Comma, see, whenever we talk about comma, we can also use comma when we have to name, many things at the same time. For example, um, what can I say? Amit, Rohan, Sheila, and I are going for the party tonight. So here I have named three people, then I have added comma after each one's name, then I have the conjunction before the last one, that is I, okay? And then I have the rest of the sentence. So comma is also used for that. One main important, it is the major use of comma is that when you are dealing with supplements. Okay, I have used comma. I'll just scroll back and I'll show you. See, there are commas everywhere. There are commas everywhere. Till now, I have used comma. But then, if I'm talking about punctuation, I could have simply written in this differentiation that essential elements, they do not have commas, and non-essential supplements, they have commas. But I haven't written it like this. I have written punctuation. Okay. So now we need to understand the purpose of comma. Now, whenever we are talking about a comma, the main purpose of the comma is that it separates the non-essential elements from the rest of the sentence. Okay,
yeah.
so this is the main purpose. It separates the non-essential supplement from the rest of the sentence. So this is the use of comma. Now we will look at one more punctuation mark. That is, do you know what is a dash?
Yeah, that, like
Hmm. Okay, so this is a comma. Dash, it is like this. This is underscore. Okay, so this is dash. Now, can you tell me what is this dash used for? Like, tell me everything you know about this dash. Why do we use a dash? Do you know the purpose of this punctuation mark in English grammar? Okay, so I'll tell you why is this dash used. Okay, so the main purpose of this dash is when you have to give some additional information, okay, to provide additional or important information that is some way related to the information that already exists. And it also provides a deliberate pause. Now, okay, to provide some information that is related or is in context to the other clauses or phrases that exists in the sentence. So this is the main purpose of dash. Okay. It actually acts as a connector. You can just write this down in the bracket. It acts as a connector. Now, if you look at a comma will never act as a connector, but a dash will act as a connector. A connector between two phrases or clauses that are related to each other. It would connect, there could be two or more two. It would connect it with a dash. Now, after we are done with the punctuation, we'll just take one example and then we'll use the punctuation marks, the different punctuation marks in the same sentence, and then we will see how different type of meaning it is creating. Okay. Now, I didn't give you any example for dash, but whenever we are dealing with supplements too, we will have a dash. Okay, so if, for example, there is some kind of, see, punctuation will always exist when we are dealing with non-essential supplements. This is the hardcore rule. So there could be some kind of an information. See, your dash, when we use a dash, we are not dealing with words. We are dealing with long clauses and phrases. And they should be related to one another. Then only we'll be using the dash. Okay, now let us look at the third one. The third one is parenthesis. What is parenthesis? Do you have any idea? The brackets. Okay, so you might have seen that. See, now Just in the above example, if you see the dash here at the end, in the bracket, I have written connector. Why? Because this is like for my understanding, and I have some, if I use the word connector, then I'll be, easily be able to relate with the concept. Similarly, parentheses, that are the brackets, are also used in the same context for non-essential elements. They are just adding some kind of an additional information in the bracket. If you see that when you have descriptions about authors in the start of any particular chapter in your English textbook, so you will have the name of the author, and then you will have a bracket that is opening, and then you will have something, some information about the author, and then the bracket would close. So this is known as parenthesis. We know that the information is okay, that information is not useful in context to the sentence, and if we remove it, the sentence will still make complete sense. Okay? Okay? The main purpose
Yeah.
is to provide additional information to the clause or the phrase that already exists. Okay, to provide additional information, the clause or the phrase that already exists. Now, if you look at the definition of all the three punctuation marks, you might think that, okay, the purpose is one and the same. They would just separate the information, that is the non-essential supplement, from the main sentence. But now let us take an example, and you will be explaining me the difference, that how is the sentence making difference when we are using different kind of punctuation marks. Are you ready? Can you read the sentence?
The male chink is a bluish cap with a rusty red feathering. Is more colorful than its female counterpart.
Okay. Now, before trying it with different kinds of punctuation marks, tell me, where do you need a punctuation mark in this? Because I have just added a full stop at the end. Apart from that, I'm not using any other punctuation mark, but this sentence definitely requires punctuation. So you identify where does it require punctuation.
Right after shipping and then feathering.
Yes. Okay. So which punctuation mark should I add over here out of the three?
Comma,
Sure, I'll add a comma. Do I need a punctuation mark anywhere else in the sentence?
and then feathering,
Okay, what punctuation mark should I add over here?
comma,
Comma. Okay. So the male chaffinch with a bluish cap and a rusty red feathering is more colorful than its male counterpart. Okay, so you were right. The two punctuation marks that you have added, they are perfectly right. Now, let us copy this sentence. And instead of commas, let me add this. The male, the sentence remains the same. We have just changed the punctuation mark. Now, as I have changed the punctuation mark, do you think is there any change in the overall meaning of the sentence?
No.
If there is no change in the overall meaning of the sentence, then why do you think we have comma, dash, and parenthesis as three different types of punctuation marks? We could have just used commas everywhere, right? But every punctuation mark has its own purpose. First difference is that a comma, it the pause that we have to take after a comma is much more less than the pause we take for a dash. Okay. The other thing is that the comma, if you look at the comma, so we have the punctuation marks at the same location in both the sentences. But here, if we look at all the three, where we have the dash, okay, when we look at all the three, if I say phrases, so the first one is the phrase, the second and the third one are the clause. Okay, so there is one phrase and two clauses. I want you to focus on this one. I'll just Huh. So here we have one phrase and two clauses. So if you look at this one, here all the three are interconnected to each other. Just look at it. Okay. Where if you look at the when you read the sentence with commas, you can easily spot uh the non-essential supplement and you can separate it. So the sentence would be the male chaffinch is more colorful than its female counterpart. So we already know the physical features of the male chaffinch that is not really required in the sentence. So we'll just remove it. They are just providing some kind of additional information. But whenever we are actually using this kind of a punctuation mark, then all the three the that we have all the three elements, that is one phrase and two clauses, they are interconnected to each other. Okay. So the male chaffinch. So the next sentence after that, it is providing us information about that with a bluish cap and a rusty red feathering. And the last part is providing us the information about the second part. Okay, is colorful than its female counterpart. So this is the difference between the dash and the comma. Okay, but both are grammatically correct. Now, one thing that students actually doubt, they think that, will this be right? What do you think? Just look at the sentence. What I have done, instead of the dash in this sentence, I have added a comma after feathering. Do you think this is still right?
Oh, no.
Why?
Uh,
If you say yes, you have to tell me why. If you say no, you have to tell me why. Okay, so I'll tell you the reason. Now, as I told you, whenever we use commas, okay, we can simply separate the non-essential supplement from the sentence. It is very easy to identify the non-essential supplement. Now, if I have the comma, just one comma, what I'll be doing, I will consider this entire thing as what? As non-essential supplement. Why? Because that one phrase and that one clause, they are connected to each other with a dash. Okay. So this is the difference. So this would be grammatically wrong. Here, either you can use two commas, the sentence would make sense, but in a different way. Or either you can use two dash. The sentence would still make sense, but in a different way. So this is how while using the punctuation mark, the sense of the sentence is changing. Are you understanding this?
Yeah.
So this would be grammatically wrong. So here we'll have this only. Now let us again take this sentence. Here instead of a comma, let me add a bracket over here. Okay, I've added a bracket. Now what do you think is the change in the sense of the sentence after adding a parenthesis? So we have tried it with comma, we have tried it with dash. Now what about this? Now whenever you have a bracket, okay, you always have to focus on this. Whatever is written in the bracket, that thing is always talking about something that is before the bracket. Okay, so the subject is the male chaffinch, right? And whatever is there present in the bracket, we are just talking about the subject. And the thing that is in the bracket, that it has nothing to do with the rest of the sentence. Okay, so this is the difference. By adding brackets, we are making a different sense out of the sentence. Though in all three cases, there is non-essential supplement, but we are having difference in the sense that we can make out of the sentence with the use of different punctuation marks. Okay, that's the reason I wanted to do the topic, the punctuation mark and the supplements with you at once, because these are not, enough. There are much more about punctuation. So there are many more punctuation marks. We'll look at it. But you just remember this basic rule. So if you get any sentence that has a bracket, okay, so just remember that the bracket, whatever information is provided in the bracket, is talking about something that is related to only the subject that is before the bracket. Okay? And see, you have to decide that information is definitely a non-essential element. So even if, see, because once the punctuation marks are used, the information becomes a non-essential supplement. This is like the ground rule. But then, according to its grammatical effectiveness, you have to decide whether you have to keep the additional thing, that is the non-essential supplement, in the sentence, or do you need to remove it. That ability will be tested in the SAT questions. Okay, now lots of theory is done. I want you to take out page number, open the PDF and remove page number 66.
Yeah.
Can you see page number 66? So you have classroom worksheet. Solve all 8 on page number 66 and 67, because this is something you will also have for the next session too. So supplements and punctuation, both the topics are very overlapping and the content is almost the same. So you solve all 8 of this in today's session. And in the next session, we'll be dealing with the punctuation, the questions that are under punctuations. Okay, so try to not waste much of your time on the writing questions. As I told you yesterday too, you should not take more than 30 seconds or maximum 45 seconds on one question that is under SAT writing. Okay, so you have just learned about all this in detail in the next class. We'll be using the PPT in order to have a quick revision about this topic. And I will also have some of the additional questions for you in the PPT as well. But before that, you solve this classroom worksheet today. Solve all the 8 questions. If you have any doubts, tell me. Should we do it one by one, or will you do all 8 together and then tell me the answer? Tell me.
One by one.
All 8?
One by one.
One by one. Okay. So come on, read the first question.
Lucy Alonso is the inaugural poet laureate of Navajo Nation. Her book, Sani the Women Are Singing, a combination of fiction and memoir, poetry, and serves as a testament to versatility as a
Yes. Now you have to fill in the blank with the appropriate word. Now the word remains the same in all the 4 options. The difference is between the punctuation mark. And then you have to be very careful with it. Try this out. Tell me what would be the answer. You have an amazing, I would say a clue over there, a lifesaver clue. Just look at the clue and then you'll get to know the answer on your own. Like while looking at the clue, you will be able to eliminate 2 of the options and then you'll just have 2 remaining and then you have to select from those 2.
A.
It's option A. Okay. Can you tell me why?
Because the starting starts off as with a dash, and it has to.
Yes. Perfect. Answer is option A. So, as I told you, the best clue that was present in the sentence is the dash, because as I told you, you can't use 2 different punctuation marks in the same sentence, okay, in one sentence. So, or else it would make a completely different meaning. So, if you have a dash, then in the second half of the sentence, you will have a dash itself. Now you might okay, why do you say it is prose and a dash? Why not only prose? Option B.
Because the last part of the sentence serves as a testament to her versatility as a writer.
Yes.
It talks
Yes.
about the women are singing, not the extra stuff in between.
Perfect. So there is this non-essential supplement that is present and it ends after prose. And in order to, just keep it separated from the rest of the sentence, we will be having option A as the right answer. Very good. Read the second one.
The sandhill dash to North America has the longest fossil history of any extant bird at 10 million years.
Here again, you have a clue, you have a comma. So the second punctuation mark will also be a comma. So tell me what will be the right answer.
D.
Option D. Very good. As you have a comma after crane, so the sand hill crane, this is the subject, and the non essential supplement is a large bird native to North America. Okay, perfect. The third one.
Saint Lucia, a sovereign island in the Pacific, the only country in the world to adopt a historical woman. Uh, B.
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 Yes, it is the right answer. So, isn't this very simple?
Yeah.
You are actually taking less than 30 seconds to do this. Amazing. Read the fourth one.
To take a wet plate a photograph, photographers usually first arrange or pose their subject for blank with bromine, iodine, and chloride and apply the mixture to a paint polished glass plate. See,
Sorry, can you repeat it?
see,
D.
see.
C. Yes, this is the right answer is C. So, see, in option A and option B, one thing that I can notice is you have a wishes, then you have comma, and then you have a bracket at the end, the bracket that never started. Similarly, in option B, you have the bracket at the beginning and the comma at the end. So this is also not, it is not acceptable. In option number C, you have a dash. So the non-essential supplement, it starts with a dash and it ends with a dash. And this is what is this is what is accepted. And you see a comma after wishes, right?
Yeah,
So there, you know, so within the non-essential phrase, this is actually, they are actually giving more and more detail. So this could be a case. So this is the difference. See, if there would have been a comma after, just imagine if there would have been a comma after mixing collodion and also a comma after chemical solution, and there exists a comma before the light sensitive too. You won't be able to, find the difference that where is the non-essential clause starting and ending. Okay. That's the reason we have three different punctuation marks that we used for non-essential elements, and all three have a different purpose. Okay, now read the fifth one.
however, although blank has cost healthcare providers less than do the physician who might otherwise undertake these tasks. B.
Option B. Yes. Okay, so there is again there is a non-essential supplement, and within the non-essential supplement, again, some information is provided to you into the brackets. Okay, so option B is correct. Sixth one.
In addition to supervillain, the new soon-to-be iconic character of the Lake Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and the Hulk among them had to cope with mundane real-life problems, including paying the rent, dealing with family squabbles, and facing loneliness and ostracism. Uh, D.
Indeed. Simple because we already have the end of the non-essential supplement, so we know it would start like this. Seventh one.
A chemical fixed bath turned the negative image into a positive one. The photo is then immersed in water and warmed. It is then coated with lavender. Um, B. D.
B or D?
D.
I think it is D. The reason is that you can't have one dash. Okay. And see, it is already a complete, if you look at the option, oil to give it a protective finish. So we actually don't need a dash over there. It is just unnecessary. Okay, and in this sentence, you would see that this is a challenging one. There are like three different sentences, and then based on each other, you have to complete the last one. So there is no such non-essential element present over here. Okay, so be very careful because you might think that, okay, there would be, see, the first, second, and the third options, they have too much of these punctuation marks that are not actually required. So the last option, option number D, is the right one. Eighth one.
Field work in a city has to be done intermittently. The construction crew had to proceed one block at a time to avoid interrupting traffic, and the archaeological team's work team's work was periodic, plagued by stormy weather and the discovery of toxic materials underground.
Okay, so what do you think will be the right answer?
Um, D.
Yes, perfect. So option D is the right one. Do you have any doubts related to this topic?
No.
Okay, so now we have some more time. So I'll just start with the other topic, that is punctuation, because we have already deal with three punctuation marks. So there are a few more, and I'm sure you might be aware about them as well. So in the next class, we'll be solving questions related to punctuation. Okay, I'll share my screen. Now we already know that why are punctuation marks important in a sentence. The punctuation. So, okay, before I start explaining this topic, you tell me how many punctuation marks are you aware of?
Um, Comma, semicolon, colon,
We
uh,
have comma, semicolon, and we have a colon.
period,
Okay. What else?
period,
Okay.
apostrophe,
Apostrophe. More.
parentheses,
Can you
uh,
repeat that again?
parentheses,
Yes. Then we have a question mark. Then we also have an exclamatory mark. Then we have a dash. Anything else? I think yes. These are the most common ones. So let us look into these. Okay, now, do you know what are the four kinds of sentences? The first one is the declarative sentence. Are you aware about what is a declarative sentence? If you have heard it anywhere, then you have the imperative sentence, then you have the interrogative sentence, and the last one is you have the exclamatory sentence. Have you heard about these before? These are the four
No.
kinds of sentences. Okay.
Yeah.
So see, sentences, they are divided into two. So one, we have the kinds of sentences with related to its meaning, and the other we have the kinds of sentences with related to its structure. Okay. So this into its meaning. So we have four kinds of sentences: declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. And the kinds of sentences in relation to its structure are simple, compound, and complex. Okay. So these are the sentences. Now I'll give you an example for each declarative sentence. Can you read the sentence?
The day is bright out there.
Yes. This is a declarative sentence. Now, okay, so this sentence, I know that this is a declarative sentence because I have written this sentence on my own, and this sentence ends with a full stop or a period. Okay. And the tone of the sentence is very simple. It's basically you are talking to somebody and you say that the day is bright out there. Simple as that. So declarative sentences, they are basically simple sentences that are used in conversations to express simple ideas. That's all. Now, when we look at imperative sentences, the tone of the imperative sentences, they are always, they express a request or an order. Okay. So if I say, can you read the two sentences I have written on my screen?
Please, can you get a glass of water or get a glass of water right now?
What is the difference between the two sentences?
First one is a request, and the second one is an order.
Yes. So whenever you have a request or an order, they come under the imperative sentences. Now, see, both the sentences, they just have one punctuation mark, that is the period at the end, but still you are able to identify the tone just by reading it. Okay? By the placement of the words and the structure of the sentence, you actually come to know that what is the type of the sentence. Okay? Now, interrogative sentence. So, what is an interrogative sentence? Interrogative sentence is it always talks about questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I say that So this becomes an interrogative sentence. Can you get a glass of water for me? And a question mark because you are asking the person. And the last one is the exclamatory sentence that, for example, you read the two sentences for me?
Wow, what a beautiful day. And alas, we lost the match.
We lost the match. So, what is the difference between the two?
The top one is more positive, the bottom is the negative.
Okay. So, this is the difference between the two. So, see, I'm making use of the same punctuation mark in both the sentences, but still it has a different emotion that is attached to both the sentences. So, this is how, when we use punctuation mark, they actually humanize the text that is written, and we are able to, get the emotions out of it. Okay, so these were the four kinds of sentences and how different kinds of punctuation marks are used in these sentences. So you remember the four main kinds of sentences. Now, so do you know what is this? Have you heard the word rhetorical questioning?
Yeah.
Can you give me an
uh,
example of rhetorical questioning?
Um, do we have to fight for ourselves?
Can you repeat it again?
Do we have to fight for ourselves?
Do we have to
Fight for ourselves.
fight for ourselves? Perfect. So this is a good example of a rhetorical question because, see, rhetorical questions always have the answer as yes. Okay. So, good example. Now, again, we know that this is actually a question and it ends with a question mark. And, you know, we know that, okay, this is a rhetorical question. The answer would be yes. And how it is adding that kind of an emotion to the sentence. Another, you tell me what are question tags. Are you aware about question tags?
Um, no.
No? Give me an example if you can think of question tags. You know what are question tags, right?
No.
No? Okay. So the question tags, they are basically, you say a particular sentence, and in order to just have a confirmation out of whatever you have said, you repeat it again. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Can you read the sentence?
You washed the car, didn't you?
Yes. So this is an example of a question tag because we are saying something, and just to have a kind of a confirmation and a validation after that, we repeat the same thing in the negative way. Now, for example, if I have the sentence, you don't eat vegetables, then the question tag will be
Don't you?
no. See, whenever we have the sentence in positive, the question tag will be negative. Okay, here the sentence that we have is you washed the car. So the question tag will be didn't you? And if I say you don't eat vegetables, so the question tag will be do you? Okay, you don't eat vegetables, do you? It's like this. You washed the car, didn't you? Okay, so this is the difference. So never have the sentence and the question tag both in positive or in negative, or else the sentence would end up being grammatically wrong. Okay, so
Yeah.
these were the rhetorical questioning and the question tag. Now, let us look at some of the punctuation marks with their examples. Okay, so first, let us look at the most basic one. First, we have the full stop or the period. So what do you know about a full stop or a period?
It ends a sentence.
Yes, it ends a sentence. It is used at the end of the sentence. What else? It gives a pause to the sentence, right? Whenever we see a full stop, we know that we need to take a pause. And a full stop helps us to identify the end of the sentence and differentiate between two sentences. So if you have added a full stop, okay, you cannot expect the other sentence to be relatable to the sentence to which you have added a full stop. So the context between the two sentences that lie on either of the sides of the full stop can have totally different contexts. Okay, but this is not the case for the comma. So what is the case for the comma? If you are adding a comma, then there is a possibility. There is not a possibility. Actually, it actually, the thing is that the context that you have on either sides of the comma will be relatable to each other. But this is not the case with the full stop. Okay, so full stop, it is very essential for the sentence. In fact, when you define, if somebody asks you what is a sentence, so while defining a sentence, you always say that a sentence is something that starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. This is known as a sentence. So one definition of a sentence is this. The second definition of the sentence is the combination of words, clauses, and phrases together is a sentence in a correct order. The combination of words, phrases, and clauses in the correct order is called a sentence. Okay, so a full stop is very important. Now, when we look at a comma, now we have already learned about the comma before while we were dealing with supplements. It helps us to identify the non-essential supplement. The other useful, uh, you know, so here first let me write about full stop. You can also copy it down in your notebook. A comma, So a comma is used to add a pause or add some kind of an additional information or to make a list. So for example, if your mom asks that who all are going for the school picnic, then you can say that my friends this comma that, and you can name multiple people using a comma. Okay, so these are the basic functions of a comma. Now next we have is the colon. What is a colon according to you?
It, it's
So see, if your mom gives you a list, okay, that you have to get something from a market, so what would you write on top? You would write shopping list and then you'll put a colon mark, right? And then you'll start writing the list. So it is used in listing things. Also, it is used for definitions. Now, if you can see, after full stop and period, I have added a colon mark. After comma, I've added a colon. And also after colon, I've added a colon because I'm trying to define each of the concept. Okay. Next we have is semicolon. What is the use of semicolon?
helps compared to sentences like it transitions.
Yes, you are right. So, used to connect two independent clauses. Two independent clauses in order to establish a relationship between them. Okay. Semicolon is used to connect two independent clauses in order to establish a relationship between them. For example, if I say um, Jim rode the bike, Mary walked. Okay, so this is the sentence. So I won't be using comma before Mary. I will be using a semicolon. Why? Because I need to emphasize on the pause. And that pause that I'm emphasizing upon, actually, it is depicting something deep. As I'm saying the sentence, Jim rode a bike, Mary walked. So this is actually expressing the contradictory ideas that he rode a bike and she walked. Okay, so I'll be using a semicolon. If you look at both the clauses, they are totally independent. Jim rode a bike is independent, Mary walked is independent. But how can you establish a relationship between them? By using the semicolon. Okay,
Yeah.
next we have the dash. So what is the dash? We have already learned. So a dash and a colon, okay, whenever it comes to the purpose of listing, we can also use a dash for listing. Okay, if you say market list and instead of a colon, you can also add a dash and then you can start making a list. So dash is also used for listing. The other use of dash, we have learned it. It is like used for non-essential elements. And we also use it to establish connections. to establish connections between phrases and clauses. Okay, what else do we have? We have some more. Apostrophe. Okay, apostrophe. Now, tell me, what is the difference between this and this? Girls and girls.
The first word is plural,
Okay,
the second is singular.
it's singular. Perfect. So, can you see the position of apostrophe before S and after S? Okay, so apostrophe is basically, it tells us about, it is actually a possessive punctuation mark that tells us about the possession. Okay, and according to its position, we also come to know whether the particular noun exists in its singular form or its plural form. What is next? Are we missing something? Okay, we have already learned about the question mark. So the sentences that contain question mark are known as, do you remember?
Uh, Interrogative,
Perfect. The sentences that have an exclamatory mark are known as?
exclamatory,
Perfect. What are the sentences in which we have a command or a request?
imperative,
And what are simple sentences called?
declarative.
Yes, declarative. Apart from that, like I have talked about all the punctuation marks. Parenthesis we have already done in the last topic that we had supplements. So parenthesis, it is used to, have some kind of information. When we need to add some kind of an extra information about the word that exists before the bracket, okay, basically the subject, then we use the parenthesis. And this information is completely different. It is only related to the subject that exists before the bracket. This information has nothing to do with the rest of the context in the passage or in the sentence. Remember this. That is the reason we use parenthesis, to just separate the information and just to limit it to the subject that exists before the bracket. Next, I think we have done everything. Okay, so in the next class, when I meet you for the next time, we will be having a quick revision for supplements, okay, as well as for the punctuation, because almost everything is done. I'll be telling you what kind of challenges you will be facing in the examination, because you were very good at solving the questions for supplement, and the questions for punctuation too are also the same, nothing new in that. So we'll solve the classroom worksheet. If possible, you can solve the classroom worksheet for this punctuation. It is on page number 79. So try solving it after the session is over so that all the concepts are fresh in your mind. And it is very much similar to the supplement topic. So try doing this. In the next class, we'll have a quick revision for this. I'll be having some additional questions for you on supplements and punctuation. And then we'll move on to the next topic. Okay. It's better if you just try solving the exercise classroom worksheet on page number 79 on your own, and then we'll discuss this entire thing in the next class. Okay?
Yeah.
You can leave the meeting now. Do you have any doubts?
No.